Bro, what did we just witness with this game, man? The craziest semifinal in Champions League history with Bayern and PSG going at it back-to-back. Bro, 9 goals in a Champions League semifinal match. Like, what am I watching? I feel like maybe one team would have went more defensive than the other, but both teams, man, you have Company and Luis Enrique telling their players, just go all at it, man, with the attack. And guys, it was back and forth. PSG were leading at 1.52. Like, that is crazy to me that even Bayern can come back from this, man. Guys, I am in absolute shock. We're going to get right into this, man. I am in, like, this is probably one of the craziest games I have watched in a long time. Guys, I think for a neutral, if you were a neutral fan, you're like, yo, that was the craziest game I've ever watched in my life. If you are a PSG or Bayern fan, I'd be scared, man, because you're going into the next leg next week, and you're like, oh my days, is my team gonna make it through? The score is so close. Like, if you're a Bayern fan, it's like, oh my days, like, we just took 5 to the head, man. It's crazy. And then you look at PSG, you're like, oh my days, we were up 5-2, and then we conceded in an extra 2. So, like, guys, I feel like maybe you don't even know what's gonna happen with PSG or Bayern. I still have no idea which team goes through. It's absolutely insane, the powerhouse of each team and the players and the quality on each team. It's absolutely insane, man. We're gonna get right into it as well, man, because I'm just like, dude, I'm just like absolutely impressed, man, with what I saw today, man. So getting right into it, bro. Obviously, we see both teams going all out attack, guys. First off, I think we gotta applaud some certain players on both teams. First off, I want to talk about Dembele, dude. Dembele, first off, turned his career around. Absolute baller, man. I feel like a lot of people even saw his potential, especially when he was at Barca. But obviously, because of injuries, he was, a lot of people kind of let go of Dembele, that dream of him being an absolute baller, man. But because, he left Barca, he was living inside of a hospital for most of his career at Barcelona, leaves, goes to PSG, man, and he absolutely cooks, turns it around, even with Mbappe leaving out of the picture at that team. Takes charge, becomes, the main man. And I still think it's not really like an ego thing. Like when I see with Mbappe at, like when he was at PSG or when he's at Madrid right now, I see Dembele, it's kind of like a very even kind of playing field with a lot of these players. You have Kvara, you have Doué, you have vitinha, you have Dembele. A lot of these guys kind of just have like the same mentality. They just want to win with the team. No one's better than the other. That's what I really see with this team, man, which I do like to see as well with a lot of other teams, with the players. No one's better than the other. Obviously, like these guys are all ballers. Like, every single player at PSG is a baller. Defense, midfield, attack, like everyone's an absolute beast. I definitely like to see that nothing is getting to the players' heads, which is obviously going to make a team, dominate, which you do see with this PSG team. They could go back-to-back Champions Leagues. We could see Dembele going back-to-back Ballon d'Ors. Like, I never would have thought I would say that in 2026 that Dembele can go back-to-back Ballon d'Ors. Like, are we kidding? When we saw him back in, maybe 6 years ago, this guy was in a hospital. Like, crazy, bro, living from Barcelona, and everyone's saying that this guy's career is over. He's worse than Ansu Fati. Like, bro, now look at Ansu Fati now. Like, it's crazy how time changes, man. Like, these situations, guys, it's absolutely insane, man. But speaking of PSG, bro, I want to talk about Kvara, man. I feel like this guy's so under the radar. Kvara does not get the love. I think a lot of people, like, I think that he should, man. I think a lot of people might have overlooked him a lot. He doesn't have the PR like a lot of players, like maybe like Mbappe, Vinny, Yamal, even like Olise is finally getting some shouts for Olise. Dembele, finally getting shouts. But I feel like Kvara, man, even when he was at Napoli, like we all know, bro, if you watch Serie A, as I do know, I'm a Juve fan. I've always wanted Kvara to come to Juventus, but obviously he's at Napoli. Bro, that guy's an absolute baller. See him, he's probably one of the best players in the league at the time. Won the league with Napoli, goes to PSG, wins the league with PSG, wins the Champions League with PSG. Probably one of their best players. And dude, this guy is an absolute monster when it comes to the Champions League, man. Every single time. I would say he's actually better in the Champions League than he is in the league. Up for debate, but I think Kvara is definitely one of those guys. He's an absolute monster, bro. Like, Kvara, for me, man, I think he's definitely in a Ballon d'Or. Like he's definitely in that conversation. And we're going to talk about it as well when it comes to, Ballon d'Ors. And it's coming up at the end of this year. Who do you think is going to win the Ballon d'Or, man? Because I definitely think there's a big shout for Dembele, obviously. We also have the World Cup this year, so a lot of people are going to be looking at France. Maybe people from Portugal, maybe vitinha, which could be a shout because, obviously these Portuguese players at PSG can also win the Champions League, and then maybe Portugal can win the World Cup. France can win the World Cup, and now you also have players on France like Dembele that can win the Champions League and the World Cup the same year. But then you also have maybe Bayern players like Olise that can win the World Cup, win a Champions League with Bayern. Maybe he gets some shouts. He's put up 40 plus GA in one season at Bayern. Absolute beast. And you also have the conversation about Harry Kane, English player. Guys, England, maybe it worked. I don't know. England haven't won a World Cup in I don't know how long, man. Since 1960 something, bro. They have not been winning nothing. Not even Euros, nothing, bro. So Harry Kane cooking in the Bundesliga, putting up the numbers, breaking records, could win a Champions League at Bayern, could, won the league with Bayern, could win the World Cup. And these conversations can be had, but I feel like, man, I have no idea which player could win, because there's so many storylines that you can make, a lot of things that happen in the future, man. But we definitely got to move on, because I do like, like I said, man, like Dembele, back-to-back Ballon d'Ors could be absolutely like mind-blowing for me, because I never thought this guy would actually even get to this point ever, not even be in a top 20, top 50 conversation. You know, if you're talking to me like maybe 7 years ago by him at Barca, and like I said before, man, like it's crazy that this guy have actually turned his career around, locked in, went crazy, you know, won a Ballon d'Or last year, could win another one this year. It's absolutely nuts, man. But again, like you look at the, you know, like the list, you see the list of players right here, like, you know, Yamal, you know, these are the favorites, you know, Kane and Dembele, Olise, man. But I'm not gonna lie, man, you look at players like Yamal, man, it's like, what has Yamal really done compared to the other three players beside him, and other players that aren't even in the picture, bro? Like for me, I would say, is it even a bad shout to say maybe Kvara over Yamal? Is it a crazy shout to say maybe Vitinha over, you know, Yamal as a favorite for the Ballon d'Or? Because yes, Yamal's putting up numbers. Again, these guys, like, yeah, for me, man, like, Yamal is an absolute talent, absolute gem, man. But when you're out of a UCL race, you know, when you're only winning inside of Spain, yes, man, you're doing well domestically. That, like, I feel like that's not enough. I feel like for me, you have to start doing outside your comfort zone. Yes, you can ball out against, you know, Deportivo La Coruña. You can, you know, ball out against these bomb, you know, Spain teams. You know, obviously Barca are better than them. They're good, like 9 points, I think, still clear of Real Madrid for the league, man. Yeah, cool, man. I feel like maybe Barca fans gotta stop at this, like, you know, the wins over Real Madrid are more important than, you know, maybe winning a Champions League, getting further, you know, along in the Champions League. Because we did see, man, you know, again, you know, Barca lost to Atletico in the Champions League. Now they got to play Arsenal, right? But I feel like maybe if Barca was there, if you could start having some different conversations. And now maybe Barca's playing Arsenal. Can Yamal, you know, cook against Arsenal, which I probably think he could, and Barca could have gone to a final, but you couldn't get past Atletico. And now, you know, now you're done for the year. Nothing else for Champions League. Why would you not put, you know, how can Yamal be a favorite when you have players like Harry Kane, Olise, Dembele, Kvaradona, you got Vitinha, a lot of crazy players that you could probably put in that conversation above Yamal, because he's not doing nothing else outside of Spain. I think it doesn't make any sense to me, man. I feel like, if, like I said, man, if Yamal is in the Champions League, you start having some more conversations. But if you're only going to win domestic, it's not really going to do too much for your career. And I think for me, for the Ballon d'Or, my favorite for me, obviously, I want to see Dembele do a back-to-back, be the first back-to-back in, you know, in a long time. Obviously, we haven't seen anyone do it since, like, you know, Messi, Ronaldo days. So that would be an absolute shot, man. But going into the game, bro, like, for me, man, it's absolutely nuts. See Kvara scoring a brace. You have Dembele scoring a brace. You know, Bayern coming back. Dude, first off, we got to talk about Luis Diaz as well, because I feel like Luis Diaz is like another one. Dude, I'm talking about Dembele. I'm talking about, you know, Olise, Kvara. Dude, no one talks about Luis Diaz. First off, left, you know, sold by Liverpool, went to Bayern, right? Guys, biggest mistake Liverpool have ever made in their history, getting rid of Luis Diaz, an absolute baller. I think a lot of people are absolutely even more shocked now because of how crazy Luis Diaz, bro. First off, his touch, I don't even know what was better, Harry Kane's pass to Luis Diaz or Luis Diaz's touch, you know, a little feint and then finish as well, man. You know, to get Bayern up a little bit closer, you know, now it's 5-4. Dude, like this guy, man, is an absolute gem. Colombia producing a lot of crazy players over the years, obviously like Falcao and, you know, James Rodriguez, but Luis Diaz, man, might be a little bit better than both of them because of his legacy right now, going crazy, going a little bit nuts. Like, Luis Diaz is a big time player, and this is what I mean, man. Like, why can you not give Luis Diaz a shout over Yamal for a Ballon d'Or shout? You know what I mean? Like, if you can win a Champions League, why not? Obviously, a Champions League is one of the most important trophies, you know, in European football. I don't understand, like, especially for club football, like, how can Luis Diaz not have that shout? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of crazy players that I would put over Yamal for that Ballon d'Or. I think, you know, the PR is just not there for a lot of these guys, man. But again, like, you know, Olise's goal, nuts. Kane, solid pen. Upamecano, very nice. I don't even see the ball hit his head, but you know, Kimmich with the assist, definitely really nice. Like, both teams just scored absolutely insane goals. Like, I feel like, you know, maybe this team, both teams have a problem defensively. I feel like obviously PSG might have the edge. You know, their fullbacks are world class. You know, Nuno Mendes on one side, you have Hakimi on the other side. Their back line's kind of iffy. You know, you have players like Beraldo, Lucas Hernandez, you have Marquinhos, you know, a vet as well, man. But I feel like maybe the keeper situation is kind of even playing field when you have, you know, an old Neuer, man, 40 plus, and you also have a Safanov, you know, a Russian. I do think, you know, no disrespect to him, I think he's an absolute, you know, solid keeper, man. But if you're PSG and you want to secure, you know, a Champions League every single year, you want to win the league every year, he definitely, you know, had a downgrade from Donnarumma, who's arguably one of the best keepers in the world, and obviously going to City as well, arguably one of the best keepers. not, you know, for me, like, I feel like you kind of have to upgrade from that, or have an even goalie as well, same level as Donnarumma, or slightly, you know, close, maybe a little bit better. I have no idea, man, but that's probably where I would say for PSG is what they're definitely be going into next week when you have the next game, man. Like, it's crazy, bro. Like, I feel like PSG might have that problem. Bayern as well, like, they're lucky that both teams have absolute insane attacks. That's what I would say. Like, both teams have like insane attacks, and it's pretty much going to be for the next leg which team can outscore the other. That's what we saw today, man. So PSG had the edge, 5-4. Absolutely nuts, guys. I'm down below what you guys think about the games. I'm in absolute awe, absolute shock. It's an absolute insane game. I cannot wait to watch this game, but now, you know, for the next leg. But now we got to go watch Atletico Arsenal Ball. So guys, love you guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, thumbs up, subscribe, and drop it down, you know, a comment below what you guys are thinking about the games, your thoughts, opinions. I love to read them. I love to hear them. Love you guys. Catch you on the next one. Peace. Later.